You're listening to KPFT Houston.
It's a little scary on Earth tonight. In all the darkness, it's kind of hard to see the light. We need more people with compassionate and fewer commandos. Stand up for what's right on Vegan World Radio. Vegan World Radio. Vegan World Radio. Vegan World Radio. It's time to live. It's time to grow. Vegan World Radio. Vegan World Radio. No more animal rodeos. Standing up for animals is a different kind of fight. When corporations keep the truth far from our sight, but the ones who see the truth can't ever let it go. The truth is alive on Vegan World Radio. Vegan World Radio. Vegan World Radio. It's time to live. It's time to grow. Vegan World Radio. Vegan World Radio. An animal-free fandango. Climate chaos, a doubting planetary plight. Temperatures reaching annual record heights. If the world ends tomorrow, I'll see you in the afterglow. The postmortem's live on Vegan World Radio. Vegan World Radio. Vegan World Radio. It's time to live. It's time to grow. Vegan World Radio. Vegan World Radio. The One Health message in stereo. The rocket leaves right now. You've got a ticket for this flight. Did you think we'd let you leave alone? The stars are burning bright. Strap in tight, ready for takeoff. Ignition, here we go. It's Monday night and time for your Vegan World Radio. Vegan World Radio. Vegan World Radio. It's time to live. It's time to grow. Vegan World Radio. Vegan World Radio. Let love be your dynamo.
Welcome to Vegan World Radio. My name is Skyjack Morgan, and this is, what's your name?
Dr. Crystal Heath.
Dr. Crystal Heath. I'm so glad
and
you're
that
here.
was the song of the summer. Vegan World Radio.
It's the summer
Start
hit.
your TikTok dances now. We want to make it go viral. That
Yes.
is a bop. We Super Bowl 2026. I'm envisioning just this is
We're going to be out
the
there
song
doing
of the summer.
It's the song of the summer. I totally agree. It's an animal-free fandango.
Mhm.
That's my favorite line of it. When I got that line, I laughed out loud. I lolled, Crystal.
Mm-hmm.
Well, just to remind everybody, this is KPFT. Pacific is KPFT 90.1 FM in Houston. You can stream live with us at 91 at KPFT.org. Sorry, KPFT.org. Yeah, we're going to talk about the KKK tonight, and I'm excited about that.
Okay.
It's always an exciting topic.
I mean, one of my favorite topics, but
Yeah, it's
you
not
don't usually
something-
hear that on public radio usually. But this is the place to talk about
It
the
is.
3Ks.
The 3Ks. Yeah, this radio station was not bombed just once, but twice by the KKK in the 70s. And it's interesting. It was mostly because the KKK, but they always got problems with progressive people. They always got problems with people who were saying, maybe we shouldn't. Maybe we should mix a little more. Maybe we should understand each other more. Maybe we should not hate each other. Maybe we should hate each other a little less. KKK, they don't like that stuff. So they bombed the radio station, and they did it right in the middle of. You said that song was too long, but they did it right in the middle of Arlo Guthrie's Alice's Restaurant, which is a 20-minute talking blues song. It's like a blues song. It's sort of like a folk blues song. But
May 12th, 1970, we're talking about this. So this wasn't recent. that the
No.
KKK bombed us.
No.
But it was May 12th, 1970, and playing on the radio was Arlo Guthrie's lovely tune, Alice's Restaurant.
Yeah, so Arlo Guthrie, this is kind of cool. I'm a big fan of his father, Woody Guthrie, so I sort of know a little bit about Arlo. And
Oh, sorry, I got it wrong. It was October 6th, 1970. That was the second time it was bombed.
the
May
second time,
12th
right.
was the first time.
Right. It
I
took him
don't,
3 months to
yeah,
reopen it both times. Can you believe it? I mean,
man.
but I like that, it bounced back. You cannot stifle us. You can't take away our freedom of speech. You can't do it. KKK. We can't. We're not KKK, go away. No fascist USA. So,
Mhm.
but what's Arlo Guthrie, his song has been used as like they used to on public radio stations during their pledge drive, which by the way, everybody can get a Vegan World Radio t-shirt if you go and make a pledge at kpft.org. Please do it. The shirt's awesome. I've been wearing it, and I want to talk about that in a second. But they used to play Arlo Guthrie's song. It was so long, and they would only play it if someone would do a sizable donation to the radio station. And then there were some DJs that would play it back to back, and they wouldn't stop playing it until somebody left a big donation for the radio station.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and Arlo he's recorded several. Well, actually, he's recorded a few versions of it. He changed it during the Reagan years because he just updated it. And the radio stations all over America have been playing it, even though there is a slur in it.
Uh-oh.
And the slur is an F word associated with the military practice at that time of not allowing homosexuals into the military. And anyway, but he talks about a movement too. If you go in and sing Alice's Restaurant at the draft office, they'll think we have a movement going on. And yeah, I want to rewrite it called Alice's Vegan Restaurant.
Mm-hmm. Because so I don't know if this is Alice's Restaurant, but in, near Woodside, you drive up a long, windy road and there's Alice's Restaurant, and it's like
In Sky
everybody
Laura,
goes
whatever it
there.
is. Yeah.
And their vegan options are quite poor.
Yeah, we need to. Well, in the song, he says, "You can have anything you want in Alice's Restaurant," and
But a high protein animal-free meal, not one of them.
not one of them.
No.
That restaurant that you were at was actually an homage to the song.
Mm.
And there's even a W bench. There's a whole thing. If people know the song, they know what I'm talking about. There's a whole kind of mythos around it. But I think we should write a new song called Alice's Vegan Restaurant. But after the anniversary of the bombing, of the rebuilding, sorry, when they finally brought it back and it was opened 3 months after it had been bombed, Arlo came and played it live in the studio at KPFT.
Wow. That
Pretty
was
cool,
nice.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Little radio station. Big celebrity.
Yeah, who knew that the KKK just hated Arlo Guthrie's music so much? They just hated Alice's Restaurant. Maybe that's why they did it.
I don't know.
No.
I imagine they had their other reasons. But
Yeah, they tend to.
all
They tend
unfounded.
No, yeah, they tend to make up a lot of reasons to do things that aren't good. But that's how we. The KKK does all sorts of stuff. Like in 2016, the KKK famously endorsed the presidential nominee, Donald Trump at the time. The Crusader, their newspaper, also endorsed. It was one of the only newspapers to endorse Donald Trump. David Duke, the Grand Dragon, endorsed him. But back in the 70s, they took the Grand Dragon. Jimmy Dale Hutto was his name. They arrested him and convicted him for the bombings and also plotting bombings in other Pacifica stations in other
Sounds like
states.
terrorism.
Yeah, I mean, he's a terrorist, right? He's a homegrown terrorist.
Yeah.
Vegans aren't terrorists. It's the KKK that they're bad.
But they often try to make us seem like terrorists.
Yeah, isn't
even though
that
we're
weird?
nonviolent.
I've never heard of a yeah. You're totally it's everything's cuckoo, right? Like But it's just because that's who gets to sit in power of the government. Maybe once we have some vegan, we only have one vegan senator or a couple vegan senators now, right? Because Adam Schiff and
Yeah, and Cory
Cory
Booker.
Booker. Hmm. So maybe we get AOC to go vegan. When AOC goes vegan, I'll be a fan.
I don't know.
That's when I'll.
It's
That's when,
hard for a woman to come out. Like you're a woman and a politician, and you're gonna come out like as a vegan too. I mean, oh my God, get
well,
ready
I
for
think
it.
that people always talk about why the Democrats lost and why people hate the Democrats. I think the reason why people hate Democrats is because most of them are hypocrites.
Yeah,
If you care about justice and freedom and all of the stuff of the principles of liberty, then you should be vegan.
yeah.
AOC, until she's vegan, as far as I'm concerned, she's a hypocrite, and so are all the other.
Mm,
Yeah,
well,
sorry.
you
Bernie
know,
too. Bernie too, by the way. He should go vegan. Like like I don't people can smell a hypocrite, They don't like it.
yeah.
I mean,
Well,
yeah, I mean, do you remember back in the day in the 90s that PETA actually did an ad dressed as the KKK? They wore the hoods and the whole thing.
yeah.
You do like where the
Um,
KKK member goes to the AKC meet, the American Kennel Club meeting, and they're like, "You're in the wrong meeting, bro." And he says, "You guys are for perfecting the races, right?" They're like, "Well, breeds, not races." And he says, "Same thing. Don't worry. Yeah, same thing." And they're like, "Yeah." And he says, "And you guys are all about keeping the races from mixing, right?" And they're going, "Yeah." And he said, I'll fit in just fine here." And he sits down at the AKC meeting, and that once true to form, PETA got a lot of backlash for that one.
yeah.
And yeah.
Imagine. I see this this article about it, and it says like the clan dog breeders who subscribe to the AKC standards are all about the sanctity of pure bloodlines.
Yeah.
So what if beagles have epileptic seizures, Dalmatians are deaf, and pugs can barely breathe because of how they are purposefully bred to look a certain way?
Hmm.
Looks are everything. In a statement, the PETA vice president referred to what she terms the AKC's fetish for body image, saying
Hmm.
that the Kennel Club's promotion of purebreds means money for breeders, but creates sick dogs and vet bills for their guardians. So,
Yeah, I mean it's true, right? You can't have a people want bulldogs, but bulldogs have been bred to the point that they can only have give birth via C-section. The sloping hindquarters of the German Shepherd, they want that perfection, quote unquote. But because of that, they keep on breeding this skeletal default, so the defect, so they end up with hip dysplasia. I mean, you must see that. You're a veterinarian doctor. Do you ever see these breeds and you're going, why have they done this? Like the
yeah, it's
Dachshund
awful.
Mobile?
You see all these brachycephalic breeds, the breeds with the smush noses and the small tracheas and yeah, elongated soft palates who can't breathe,
Hmm.
get heat stroke, and all
Hmm.
of these hip dysplasia and all of these issues in the other breeds that we see. But in response to PETA's claims, Westminster spokesperson and commentator
Hmm.
David Free told the Associated Press, I can't speak for everyone, but the vast majority of people exhibiting and handling and showing at Westminster are more interested in the health of dogs than anything else. And yet they crop their ears and they
Yeah,
dock their
dock their tails.
tails. Yeah, how does breeding brachycephalic dogs who can't
Yeah,
breathe, and whose
that's
eyeballs pop out of their head at, any
right. Their eyeballs
any
literally popping out of
instance,
their head.
how does that protect their health? Do tell. Like they never ask the follow-up questions.
No. And
Ah,
people would like, I remember my mother was a small time breeder. She wasn't like a puppy mill or something, but she showed
same.
dogs.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah. I
She
showed
showed
dogs too back in the
I
day.
when I was a kid, I wanted to be a dog handler. I thought it looked so cool, like
Mhm.
walking the dog around. I anyway, um those AKC guidelines they're not, they do have some things like the affable, a curious look in the dog's face needs to be present, or an affable personality and things. They do pay a little lip service to the personalities of these dogs or whatever, but overwhelmingly it's about looks. It's more about the rim of your eyelid color on the dog, or these things that need to be bred to this this weird.
Mhm.
Yeah, it is a fetishist. It is a fetishist, isn't
It's
it?
weird.
It is.
Yeah. I got a
It's
horse actually when I was a kid back in the day for free because this horse was bred and came out with white around his eye, which they
hmm
didn't like. So
Yeah.
I got a free horse,
Yeah.
and they usually all the dogs and horses that don't fit the description, it's just easier to kill them usually and not feed them,
Yeah,
spend
get
money
this.
feeding them and everything. So
I
just
always
kill
had
them and
lots
try
of
again.
dogs growing up because my mother couldn't, she would sell the champions and the ones that people wanted, and she would sell those dogs. But the ones that were quote unquote pet quality, the ones that
Mhm.
we're gonna pet them out, she didn't want to part with them. She's like, no, I want my little weird looking ones, the ones that didn't
Mhm.
fit, that they're never gonna be show dogs. And so I always had those dogs at my house, which is funny because they were usually healthier than the other ones, the ones that were the show dogs. They were the ones that had recessive traits and stuff like that. And they she just couldn't bear it because she said that people who get a dog for cheap from a breeder, they don't take care of them. That's what she would say. They won't take care of these dogs, you know?
Yeah.
So we always had like 4 or 5 dogs growing up.
That's a lot of dogs to take care of. But yeah, same. I grew up the same thing. I remember in vet school, there's these posters around the vet school with like an empty collar and a leash from the AKC saying, if we spay and neuter all the dogs, where will the pets come from?
Hmm.
Like that was a threat. Meanwhile, we're killing all of these dogs in shelters. Um,
Yeah, like when I was a kid, the dogs, they used to gas chamber the dogs in the pounds, and they would just put them all in these big rooms and gas them. And I just read it in this book I'm reading by Hal Herzog about how the spay and neuter campaign is probably undeniable, I think he said it's undeniably the greatest animal welfare campaign in the history of animal rights, in the 150
yeah.
years of animal rights history. And because it saved way more animals, it's kept a lot more animals from getting euthanized or put down, whatever,
Yeah.
and it keeps them from also ending up being tied in someone's lawn or thrown over the Brooklyn Bridge, or these unwanted animals. You have fewer unwanted animals because of the. So do you think that the at the veterinary school with the empty leash, do you think that their fears were founded in anything?
No, not at all. And we're still like I spay and neuter at least 100 animals a week. Like that's the majority of my job.
Mm.
And I still feel like we're hardly making a dent. Like it used to be a lot worse. We were killing in the 70s, just millions upon millions of animals in
Yeah,
shelters. Now
it's like a
it's
million.
around 1 million.
Hmm.
But there are so many community cats. It takes a lot of effort to keep up with the growing population. And I think during COVID that there was this increase in animals because animals weren't being spayed and neutered. And I think a lot of people are
Mm.
like, well, I'm home now. Maybe I could make some extra money breeding my animals and
Oh my
selling
God.
them.
I think it's that, but it's also these COVID dog owners, man. They treat their dogs like little babies. They put a diaper on them when they're in heat, and they're just like, "Oh, I couldn't bear it. It's not that bad. Once a year she's in heat and I put the diaper on her." It's like the moment you
No,
turn
not exactly once
around,
a year. I think it's a little bit more frequent than that. I don't know.
I don't know how many. It's like every 10 months or 9 months or something like that. I don't know. You would
Depends.
know better than me.
I know. I'm just take it out. Just take it out.
Right. Well, that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to spay and neuter your pets. Has no one seen Bob Barker? No one saw Price is Right growing up. Spay and neuter your animals. Like
Yeah.
PETA's building in Los Angeles is called the Bob Barker Center because of
Okay,
that.
here's small breeds may go into heat as often as 3 to 4 times a year. Giant breeds 12 to 18 months. First heat is around 6 to 15 months of age. So yeah, roughly every 6 months a dog goes into heat. So
Okay. So maybe if twice a year. And people like, well, I'm home. I could take care. She's never out of my sight, so I'm gonna put a diaper on her and nothing will happen. And I'm going, the dog is it's not good. The dog you're what did you say before? Like the hormones of these animals are we're allowing this to happen and we brought these
well,
animals into
you're
the
keeping like you're allowing these dogs you're forcing these dogs to have the hormonal drive to breed, and yet you're
mm,
not allowing them to breed. Is that fair? We talk about like, oh, spaying and neutering them, they can't consent to that. But I think it is in their best interest, and we have a duty to do things in their best interest, but they're not consenting to not being allowed to be bred while having the hormones in their body that's telling them to breed. So I
yeah.
think it's far better for them to be spayed and neutered.
When it comes to
Um,
dogs and cats and pets of all kinds, I can't believe anyone brings up consent anymore. Like these animals, the consent left the chat in prehistoric times with wolves. Like that was there's nothing been consensual. Wolves did not consent to become chihuahuas. Like they did not consent to
yeah.
become what do you call them? Brachiocephalic? What are those animals called?
Brachycephalic, yeah.
Brachycephalic, like those little smashed in faces because we like they're cute when their faces are
Yeah.
smashed in. Who cares that they have sleep apnea that we've
They
induced?
they also don't consent to get pyometra, and pyometra is an infected uterus that 25% of unspayed dogs get, and it can be life-threatening. And I have to spay neuter dogs with pyometras all the time. And now with the rising cost of veterinary care, I got a client recently. They came to our low cost clinic uh, to have their dog spayed. But because she had a pyometra, but she was quoted at a
Mm,
corporate veterinary clinic $12,000 to
jeez.
spay her, to remove her infected uterus because she had a pyometra. $12,000. And our
That's
clinic, which
remarkable.
is a low cost clinic, did it for 1,200. But like I remember when I first graduated vet school, $1,200 would have been the like expensive
Hmm.
emergency cost of spaying a dog who had a pyometra. And now that's the low cost option just because prices have
$1,200.
increased so much.
Yeah, I mean, I guess all I think is that if consent is your top of mind when you're a pet owner, then don't be a pet owner. Like you have it's not about consent anymore, it's about responsibility for your stewardship of that animal. You signed up for something and now you have to make the decisions that are best for the animal. And spaying and neutering is always going to be the best, not just for them, but the unborn animals that yeah, people will throw into the Hudson River. So it just I
Yeah, and
can't
I mean, to be honest, like to be fair, I am not like one of those hard line, you need to spay and neuter your dog.
oh I
I
am.
do, I spay and neuter a lot, and I think it's is the best thing to do. But if somebody has like a golden retriever and they're like, I'm keeping my dog intact for whatever, like there, I disagree with a lot of the studies out there that say that if you spay and neuter your golden retriever or certain breeds, you have higher risk of cancers. I can have it like a long discussion with you about why I think a lot of those studies are flawed. Many are out of UC Davis, where I went to vet school. It's the best
Mm,
vet school in the world, but they get a certain population of dogs to their
right.
facility. Usually dogs that are very well cared for, especially if they're intact dogs, show dogs, whatever. A lot of the spayed dogs that come in there,
Hmm.
get the giant oncology, center right there at UC Davis. So you get all of the dogs who get cancer are going there, especially if they're loved and cared for. And
Hmm.
loved and cared for dogs get spayed and neutered. So you're going to see a high population of those. And
Yeah.
the intact dogs that you see there are like the show dogs who are
Hmm.
rare but loved. And so I think there's just a lot of
Yeah, they're
problems with
not a
that
South
population.
Carolina, right. They're not a South Carolina black lab who's chained up in a yard,
Hmm.
who's intact, right?
Yeah, or
That's not the animal that makes it over to Davis to
San
see if.
Antonio, like that whole, you know, other areas in Texas where you have like dogs not that are just roaming around the streets
Mm-hmm.
and getting hit by cars. That's what I see a lot of dogs who
Yeah.
are a year and a half old, intact, go out looking for a mate and get hit by a car and die, or they're seriously injured.
Yeah. I wonder,
And
like,
UC Davis isn't seeing those dogs.
no,
And
It's funny you mentioned that because like I saw this thing where Houston PD now has they have a hotline and they have a website now. It's 927 927. What is it? What is this new website they have? It's kind of awesome, but it's you can go on there and 927pause.org. That's what it is. Pause, like PA, like their feet, you know. And you can also email animal cruelty unit at houstonpolice.org or call 911. But they say if you see any kind of abuse or anything like this, get video, upload it to our website so that we have something to go on, and they're going to come and handle it. And I think that's, I wonder, I don't know. It's in Houston, they've got, I've seen animals. Well, I've been all over Texas and I've seen animals chained up. In Amarillo, I saw a lot of that. And
Mhm.
um and it's just you see it all over, but the more rural you get, the more you see animals just like chained up in the yard, and it's just tragic. And those animals are often almost never spayed or neutered, and they don't get the care they need, and they can still throw pups because just because they're chained, another dog can come visit. That
Yep.
dog with a diaper on it comes and visits,
Hmm.
and because they're out there running around, and they're going out to get some, if you will, and they get hit by cars because they're out there on the hunt. They're on the prowl. It's
Hmm.
I don't know. It's
Yeah.
anyway, I thought that was really cool that Houston PD has a website now where you can go and put in the violator's address. I don't normally tell people to turn other people into the police, but I don't know. Animal abusers, I feel like it's okay. You can turn in animal abusers to the police.
I mean, I wonder if you could take a video of cows and turn it into the Houston police. Like when you
Yeah.
see all those big, huge facilities, those feedlots, I see lots of cows with,
Yeah, wouldn't that be
cancer
funny?
eye and
Yeah, go to the rodeo. Go to
things.
the rodeo and
Go to
then
the
take
rodeo and
video
report.
and then send it to Houston PD.
Yeah.
I love this idea. We should do it. Let's go to
I
the rodeo,
mean,
take some video, and send it to
you s-
927 pause.
if you see somebody kicking a horse, now we've learned that that's absolutely unacceptable. So if you see a
Yeah.
bronc rider spurring the shoulders of a horse, that should be unacceptable, right?
Well, I don't know. So that story out of Vegas, by the way, everyone, this is Vegan World Radio. I'm Skyjack Morgan. That's Dr. Crystal Heath, and this is KPFT.org, listener supported radio. Make a donation at KPFT.org. Get yourself a vegan shirt. They'll send you a vegan shirt. It's rad. I wore a vegan shirt at a protest last week, and all these vegans started walking up to me and talking to me, and I thought it was so cool. So I'm gonna wear my KPFT Vegan World Radio shirt to every protest I go to, just so that I meet more vegans. People always say, I never meet any vegans in Texas. I never meet anybody. We don't have any. But like I
Mm.
know a bunch.
Yeah.
So come on now. Like you can wear a vegan t-shirt, meet some vegan friends. That's how, like, I don't know, Dallas Cowboy fans find each
Yeah,
other.
that's a good point.
Yeah, how do you find other Dallas Cowboy fans to go to Buffalo Wild Wings with, that fry all their food? By the way, they fry all their food in tallow now or something, don't they? Anyway, I don't go to Buffalo Wild Wings, but my guess is they meet each other. They know each other from their garb, right? But out of Texas this week, you were just alluding to that thing with the with that vet who kicked the horse. Now I watched the video,
Yeah.
and
I
it's
mean,
not the worst thing I've ever seen done
n-
to a horse. by a long
It's
shot.
not the worst thing I've seen done to a horse at a rodeo or a horse show or any, actually when I was in vet school,
Training.
when I watched as they tied a young horse to a pole and let the horse just fight it out. And the horse was like falling on the ground, bloodied fetlocks, bloody head. And
What
I
was he
tried to say,
fighting for? He was fighting for
they tied him. So horses panic when they feel resistance.
right. So
And
they're trying to break him.
they, this is bad horsemanship. This is not how you train a horse. Some people train by flooding, where they just tie the horse until the horse learns that they can't
Right,
pull.
break their spirit.
But
Right.
they panic, and this isn't good. Usually, you teach the proper way to teach a horse how to be handled and to respond to a halter and lead is gently over time training them to yield to pressure and rewarding when they yield and follow and they give in. And you use a bungee to make sure they're not in a situation where they pull back and panic. But they were not doing things the right way. I stepped in and I was like, we have a behavior team at the school I went to. Hey, maybe you should consult the behavior team and help you with this horse. They rolled their eyes at me and I just felt like tears welling up in my eyes. I took out my camera and started recording. And of course somebody saw me and they're like, that was more offensive to them than seeing the people improperly train a horse how to tie.
Yeah, I mean they don't like it when you record what they're doing to horses. That activist was recording horses in Ocala, Florida, which is, as you know, a place with I think they've got almost 1,000 horse ranches, horse farms out there in Ocala. And a guy walked up and beat the crap out of him, stole his bag, stole his camera. Luckily, at the end of the story, the police actually, through the trial and everything, the guy who stole his stuff, he did get arrested and charged with like strong arm robbery. They charged him for robbery because he took his stuff, right? Not allowed to take people's cameras. But the guy was just videotaping horses, and they put one down on whatever training track they had. And they beat up this activist for taking pictures. Like, if you're not doing anything wrong, then you shouldn't have a problem with someone taking a picture of your horse.
Yeah, but it's more okay to beat a person for taking a picture than it is to take a picture. Like that's kind of insane. But
it's also your First
back to
Amendment
the
right to be
story
able to
about
take pictures.
this veterinarian who kicked the horse. Here I am, animal rights activist, vegan, going, oh, like this poor man is now being vilified for being caught on camera kicking this horse. Meanwhile, my veterinary colleagues are like,
hold on. What can you describe the kick? Because I'm watching it. The horse is kind of tied up, and he kind of
he's got ropes all over. This is supposedly a young Mustang. He tried to drug the horse to castrate him. The horse was not responding to the drugs. We all lose our tempers sometimes. I mean,
not to say it's okay, right? I mean,
no, not to say it's okay.
But it was like, I'm looking at this. I'm against people kicking horses, but this vet kind of kicked him almost as if to get him to stand up or something. He wanted the horse to react in a way. It wasn't. I think they'd passed the friendly stage. He and this horse, but I don't know. You're right. I think out of frustration, he kicked this horse.
It's bad horsemanship.
Yeah, it's bad.
Here's the thing. I in 2011 in vet school witnessed bad horsemanship in my vet school. I can only imagine. I don't know if this guy is older than me, but I can't imagine what he's witnessed or the culture that he was trained in. I know the culture of the veterinary profession, and it's not to say don't trust vets. People do need to trust veterinarians, but also understand we as veterinarians need to talk about how bad our culture is and how our profession normalizes us to violence against animals. We use these euphemisms like
breaking a
euthanize
horse,
when we mean kill, and all.
depopulate.
Yeah, I don't think breaking a horse is a euphemism. In fact, like that's
You think it's a bit
the
spot on,
bad. Like
breaking their
we
spirit?
yeah, that's breaking a horse is bad horsemanship, and this is not how you train a horse. You can train a horse, you can start a horse kindly, not bullying them, not flooding them. You know, the whole bucking bronc thing, like, oh,
Yeah.
this is just emulating how cowboys start horses. No, it's not. That's
No.
not how you start a horse. That's bad horsemanship. It's cosplay for the fans to sell truck tires and to sell
But
hamburgers
big
and
belt
beer.
buckles, big hats.
It's
I
cosplay, and
Yeah.
you're performing at the expense of a horse. I was just, when thinking about, I was writing an op-ed about this whole horse kicking situation, and watched the Kentucky Derby, and here you
hmm
see people beating horses, across the finish line.
Yeah.
And this veterinarian, like, is in this very precarious situation, very highly stressed. And I don't know what it's like to live with testosterone, but I think that maybe
Yes, you do. You have testosterone. Women
I
have
have small
testosterone
amounts,
too.
maybe. I've never had testosterone in the way I've seen, men have a tendency to be a little bit more violent. And
Yeah.
I see this with dogs. You know what it is? It's like in male dogs too, they seem more scared and they
hmm
respond to that fear with aggression. And
Yeah.
I don't know if that's the same thing with dudes,
I don't
but
know if that's testosterone either. That might just be, who knows? But all right. So how
but
do we handle
yeah.
this though, Crystal? Because like I don't know. I saw it. I saw it on YouTube. I left a comment of like, "Hey, I'd love to see all you vegans in the chat here, hating on this vet. You must all be vegan," something like that.
Well, I don't think vegans would wish harm on another person. And I saw people in the chat saying things like, good. Okay, so now they're searching Lake Mead for
hmm
this veterinarian because his truck was left at Lake Mead with his wallet and his keys
Yeah, he
there.
probably killed
And
himself.
so now they think he killed himself. And so one of the most popular comments, most liked comments was good. Hopefully he's at the bottom of Lake Mead. That is
That is
horrifying.
horrifying.
Like, why
Is
is
it
it?
Lake
Oh,
Mead or Lake Las Vegas or something? I forget. Yeah, I know
it's
what you mean.
Lake
They found him
Mead.
was it Lake Mead?
Hmm.
Wow. There's not much left of Lake Mead. They wouldn't be hard to find them. The lake last time I was at Lake Mead, it was so shallow. It was like someone took the drain out of the bathtub. It's horrible. They've
And
had
so I was shocked at my fellow colleague veterinarians piling on.
hmm
And
So what do we
I'm
do?
like, dude, why are we piling on this veterinarian who needs help? He
hmm
clearly needs help. What good are these comments that you're saying? Um, like we have to look at how our profession normalizes us to violence.
Yeah.
And we it socializes us into a culture of silence. Like I was, forced to be silent when I was seeing the way that they were training this horse at vet school. Emotional repression,
Yeah.
desensitization of us to harm. And it's like, oh, if you're upset about the way that they're handling this horse, you're probably just too sensitive to be a veterinarian. So
But
we
wait a
like,
second. Let me ask you, because I don't know if this is a vet thing, because man, I feel like our whole culture is
yeah.
desensitizing us to violence, this rape culture that we have in America, and this just violent, like, get him out of here, beat him up, kill that guy, and we're gonna take Panama.
Hmm.
We're gonna take Canada's gonna be our 51st state, and we're gonna take them by force. All this language. It's this language of fascism of just we want something, so we're gonna take it, and I don't know. Our whole culture seems to be doing that. It's it's frustrating because I don't know where we go with that.
And we
How do we
all are
acknowledge?
we want to show our moral superiority by joining in on the pile on against somebody who we view as morally inferior. But
it?
critics of like, hey, my approach of like, let's ask what makes a veterinarian, why do you think he did this? Instead of asking that's what we should be asking. What led him to do that? So we can understand, so we can protect ourselves and our colleagues
Yeah.
from behaving the same way. But critics say we all get frustrated, but we don't all kick horses. Don't excuse this by saying we do the same thing if we're in his shoes. But we have to be asking, like, what kinds of environments make violence feel like an option? And
Or
what
the yeah, not just the option, but it's an acceptable solution, right? I think violence is always an option, right? Isn't that like the deed to your house is backed up with violence, right? Everything is backed up with this nebulous, vague idea of violence, but you don't want it to be the solution. That's the final, it's the last thing you do, right? It's supposed to be the last option, not the first.
Yeah.
But you just, you make me think of, because when you say that, why don't we answer this vet with love and be like, bro, something's going on with you. We need to get you. We
Hmm.
need to have a conversation. We need to get you a shrink. We need to get you in some rooms.
Instead, everybody's out there just with their cameras recording because they want to nail him. They want to
But
pile on.
it
That's how
reminds me,
justice happens or
yeah,
something. But
that
that's not how
justice.
change happens.
No, these people watch too much Batman or something. They think that like everything. That's the thing. These superhero movies. They think I'm gonna take violence. And violence will be my answer. I'm gonna I'm gonna solve this problem with vigilante justice. It reminds me of what with Temple
And pe
Grandin, with the gas chamber thing, and people like, yeah, why don't we put Temple Grandin in the gas chamber, see how she likes it? It's like, what, bro? What is wrong with you?
Yeah. But people like literally, I hear this kind of like false assumption made all the time of like, why are you empathetic for this vet when you should be empathetic for the horse? And it's like,
I'm
I
empathetic
am
for
empathetic for the horse.
everyone.
It's not empathy for animals and empathy for humans are not in opposition. And in fact, if you want to protect animals, we also have to have empathy for the human beings, like, because it is
Yeah.
against our human nature to harm animals. We developed empathy for animals 100,000 years ago.
Yes.
If somebody is harming animals, something is deeply wrong. And that's what
Mm.
we've been conditioned to think like, oh, we need to, for the greater good, to
We
feed
need to make
people
Cal-Maine $219
all of
million
these things.
dollars in a
Exactly.
quarter. We need to do that so that Sherman
No.
Miller can make more money, right? Um,
We
but
need eggs. Like the idea
gotta
that
have
we
them.
can
So
produce protein without eggs is somehow weird. I was talking to this about somebody the other day. It's like, oh, did you know we can now make egg protein with potatoes?
hmm
And yet, this is a scientific person was like, I don't know, I feel a little weird about the genetically modified thing. And it's like, do
the
you realize what we're
chicken is
doing to
genetically
chickens?
modified. Yes. And
Do
I
you,
mean, when RFK Jr. calls them mutant factories, like every animal protein production facility is a mutant factory. But then it's also this it's all steeped in violence. It's something that's been weighing on me, and it's not totally animal related, but I think it's apropos to this conversation, is that man, I don't even know his name right now, but in South Carolina, they just killed another guy with the firing squad. Two men have been
wow,
executed in the last 5 weeks via firing squad. And I'm
that's
thinking,
wild.
it is wild. It's crazy. I don't really want to get into like the cruel and unusual punishment clause in the in the Bill of Rights, but to me it's crazy. It's wild that we give a government the right to kill any of the citizens, any of our
Mhm.
citizens. It reminds me of Sacco and Vanzetti, and they could just kill us, I guess. We just give them the power to kill us, which is crazy. But that there's so many people who are okay with this. And everyone seems all right with this. Like that we're just that violence is the answer. Something bad happened. These men are criminals, likely guilty. They were convicted and appealed, hopefully. I'm not sure about their cases. But hopefully they got the appeal process. But that
Yeah,
doesn't mean we're just gonna kill them? Like that's the solution? Maybe we should find out why they did it. Find out how to stop
I
it from ever
know.
happening again. Have conversations about that forever. Like I don't think there's enough. If you told me that you would keep that person alive forever and have a conversation with them every single day, trying to get to the bottom of how this happens, and you were able to save just one life through all of that effort, I would have been like,
Hmm.
yeah, that's sounds like a good one.
Yeah.
Sounds like
Yeah,
a good use of your time. I mean, we got death row
seriously.
inmates who write children's books and actually still somehow manage to contribute to society from death row. Like, not all of them, but there's some hope left as long as you're breathing. Like, there's something. It's just we're
Yeah.
sending to people to Guantanamo Bay and Costa Rica. Sorry, in El Salvador,
Uh-huh.
and it's just this violent answer to every problem that comes our way.
Yeah. The answer to the man kicking the horse is
More
psychological
violence.
violence against him,
Hmm.
a pile on bullying. That's not the answer. Empathy is the solution here.
Right.
What's as a like an aside, I think I all along kind of was under the impression that a firing squad would be the least cruel option because I was imagining them being shot in the head. But no, they're not shot in the
Yeah,
head.
shoot him
They're
in the
shot
body.
in the chest, aimed
Hmm.
at the heart. And here the
Hmm.
individual is restrained in a chair with a target placed over the heart area, and a
Hmm.
firing squad of trained marksmen, usually five, stands at a set distance.
Hmm.
One rifle is loaded with a blank so that no shooter knows for sure who fired the fatal shot. The goal is
Yeah.
quick death from massive blood loss or cardiac arrest caused by trauma to the heart and major blood vessels, which you're
It took
allowing the
him
brain to function
for
for how long? This is
yeah,
wild that we do this.
and when we have guillotines, but 80, it took him 80 seconds to die. He gasped, he groaned, and then he took his last breath. And it reminds me of the pigs in the gas chambers at Smithfield.
Mhm.
They have it takes pigs over a minute to die, getting boiled. All their soft tissue and everything gets boiled from the carbonic acid, and everyone seems all right with it.
Yeah.
It
And
starts.
and then we all kind of tell ourselves like, oh, it's humane. But and here's our argument. I'm sure you're on my side with this. Even if it was totally humane, you could just flip a switch and lights out, and there's absolutely no suffering. It would still be wrong. It's
Totally.
still
Well, and
not
also, yeah,
right.
and also we talk about animal rights, but this has nothing really to do with the rights of the animal or even the rights of the dude who got the firing squad. We don't have the right to take that from them. It's not their right to live, which I think they have. It's what gives us the right to
Hmm.
take anyone's life, to put pigs in gas chambers, to shoot a man with five rifles. Well, one was empty to keep their psychological plausible deniability intact, so that no one like, come on, that's just it's ludicrous.
Yeah, we don't have to do any of this.
We don't have to do any of it. Yeah, good
And
point. Just like the KKK didn't have to bomb the radio station. And all of this is not in the pursuit of protein. It's in the pursuit of profit.
mhm.
Just like these for-profit, uh, I call them camps now because I think concentration camp is a more apt descriptor of these prisons. They're not prisons. Prisons are where you go after you've been tried and convicted, and jail is where you go when you're awaiting trial. So what do they call these places? These ICE detention centers. They've got all these euphemisms. The detention center, like I'm in high school and I'm just been a naughty boy and I'm in detention. I haven't been charged with anything, or what's going on at CCOT, right? And it's in pursuit of profit. And it's just like when Cal Maine, Washington Post put out that article about Cal Maine, and I was
Mhm.
seeing red because all of this $509 million in profit this quarter after receiving $44 million in tax breaks, not breaks, sorry, indemnity payments. Literal, your money, my
So
money
yeah,
went to
first
them.
setting the record straight. Cal-Maine Foods, the nation's largest egg producer, came down with avian influenza, and so we bailed them out for exterminating their birds due to avian influenza. They exterminated their birds using ventilation shutdown, where they sealed up the buildings, pumped in heat, and waited for the birds inside to die. They didn't put plans in place to use less cruel methods. We gave them $44 million in taxpayer bailouts while they made $509 million in profits this last quarter.
Which is triple what they made same quarter last year. Triple. So what they tripled the price of eggs, and people are like, oh, it's because there's no eggs. They're making triple the profit. Like, this is just.
And the great thing for these large companies is, they had to kill off some of their birds due to avian influenza, but they have other flocks, so they can still keep profiting from the elevated price of eggs. Meanwhile, like a small producer, if they have to kill off their birds due to avian influenza, usually like knocks them out, shuts them down, for good for a while. The contract farmer will make pennies on the dollar, while the large corporation who owns the birds and who makes all the money, they get dollar. It used to be $7
per bird
per egg laying hen.
But now with the new administration, how much is it?
$17 per bird. So while they're cutting all the jobs to slim down the government, they are increasing payments to corporations who are spreading disease and putting the ones that use ventilation shut down to kill their birds because they failed to put plans in place to use less cruel methods.
Yeah, they're cutting public services in order to enrich private companies. And most of these private companies aren't even beholden to shareholders. Even that system has been subverted, right? Like Cal-Maine is the rare one. They happen to be the biggest.
It's a public company, so we can kind of track them. But there's all these others, these companies that aren't public. I shouldn't say small companies.
They're not small. Tyson's not small.
Cargill's, the biggest agribusiness company in the world. They're not a public company. They're a family with 21 billionaires. We don't know anything about their operations because they're not public.
Yeah, it's galling that they're cutting my services, taking tomorrow's tax day. I'm going to give them more money probably, and they're going to take that and give it to what's the CEO? Isn't it Sherman Miller? Is that his name?
Yeah,
Sherman. Yeah, the CEO. He made something. He made tens of millions of dollars. That's what his take home is.
Well, his take home is like $1 million a year, which isn't much for a CEO, but it
is when it's my $44,000, my $44 million going to the. It seems like a lot when it's my money.
Yeah, you know what I mean? For sure. We shouldn't be subsidizing his and the shareholders. Shouldn't we invested $44 million into this company? Shouldn't we, the taxpayers, give back
dividend?
Some of that? Yeah.
Yeah. Why am I waiting on a Doge check? I should be waiting on a Cal-Maine check. They should give me my money. They made all these profits. I should get a little piece of that, right?
Yeah.
Why? It's upsetting. I was very upset with that. I did want to mention, in Western Texas, a capsule full of women. It's raining women in Western Texas. A capsule of women fell from the sky. One was Gayle King, who got out of the capsule and kissed the ground. And one was Katy Perry, who got out of the capsule and pointed to the sky and said that she feels love for everybody and that everything is love. And she was married to a one-time vegan.
Well, we don't even have to count him among us.
She was married to Russell. So I'm talking about the Blue Horizon. Bezos made he put up his fiance and a bunch of other famous women went to space. They passed the Kármán line, which is the demarcation of our atmosphere into outer space. They went to outer space, pretty rad. 2 miles in outer space, and came back home. The whole trip took like 15 minutes or something, and it made me think about why isn't Katy Perry vegan? So we looked up that, and she's 95% vegan. I don't know what that means.
I mean, aren't we all 95% vegan, really?
Oh, no, we're all
in this world.
That's 95% vegan.
Maybe she's just honest. Like it's hard to live an animal-free life in this world that we're in corporations and all of our everything incentivizes callousness and the oppression of others. That's what we incentivize with everything, with our tax dollars, with
Okay, but Katy Perry's great. I wish that she were vegan. But the other thing was she was married to Russell Brand, who famously isn't vegan anymore, and he's gone into this manosphere thing. And it's something I've been kind of keeping my eye on because that Atlantic article, I guess was that still this month? I don't know. The Atlantic article came out about how America's eating more meat because of this manosphere and people watching UFC.
Yeah.
And he's kind of like gone down that alt-right rabbit hole, and he's found the Lord, and he's found misogyny, and he's found women blaming, slut shaming, all of that stuff. He's very into that these days, and he's also into eating steaks in Mar-a-Lago. And I wonder how Katie feels about it. Katie's going to space. He's going to Mar-a-Lago.
Yeah. Well,
but
that's interesting. Well, I hope more women go to space.
Me too.
And I wish them all the best of luck. And maybe we could start our own planet.
A woman's planet.
A woman's planet.
Mm.
Yeah.
That sounds
I don't know. Kind of
fun,
like
I
it.
guess. I don't know. Women are more likely to be vegan,
That's true.
and 4 times more likely to be an animal rights activist.
And yet men control all the money in the animal rights movement and all the access to opportunities. I'm just going to throw that out there. It's not fair.
And yet the largest animal rights organization is run by a woman.
Oh, there you go. And also,
and she receives
hated.
By
many. Maybe because she's a woman.
Maybe that's why PETA gets so much hate, is because it's run by a woman. I'd be willing to entertain that for sure. Do you think if she were a man, would PETA be getting as much vitriolic?
Oh, that's a good question.
What do you think? Hot take. We have 2 minutes before we're done.
I have my criticisms of the way PETA messages, but maybe that's just because I'm a pick-me, and maybe I got to work on that.
First of all, I don't think you're a pick-me, but I think that with an organization it's been around for 40-something years now. It started in 1980, so it's been around for 45 years now, PETA. They've had a lot of different campaigns, a lot of different messaging, so you're not going to nail it every time. And you're talking about something that is controversial, and you're trying to get it where all the oxygen's sucked up all the time. You're trying to get attention, so you've got to do some outlandish stuff. But I do think if she were a man, if it was, I don't know, Johnny Newkirk, it would be a different attitude towards PETA and maybe towards animal rights.
Yeah. But I don't think that means we need to get Ingrid out of there and replace
No, I
her
don't
with a
think
man.
so.
I don't think that's
Although
the answer.
she's probably going to die in office. I mean, she's 76 now or something.
Right.
Yeah. But anyway, we can talk about PETA again. I'm sure it'll come again. This has been Vegan World Radio. My name is Skyjack Morgan, and
I'm Dr. Crystal Heath.
that's right. You got that one right. Good job. And Dr. Crystal Heath will be back in fortnight. And thank you so much. Please go to kpft.org. This is 90.1 KPFT out of Space City, Houston. Go to kpft.org and make a donation. This is listener-supported radio. Thank you so much.
Vegan World Radio. It's time to live. It's time to grow. Vegan World Radio. Vegan World Radio. No more animal rodeos. Standing up for animals is a different kind of fight. When corporations keep the truth far from our sight, but the ones who see the truth can't ever let it go. The truth is alive on Vegan World Radio. Vegan World Radio.
KPFT is looking for programmers and board ops. If this sounds like you, contact me, Marlo Blue, at pdkpft@gmail.com, or leave a message at 713-526-4000 extension 1003. Hey, KPFT is looking for you.
If I could be you,
And you could be me for just 1 hour.
If you could find a way
to get inside
Each other's mind.
walk a mile in my shoes.
walk a mile in my shoes.
Walk a mile in my shoes.
We've all felt left out, and for some, that feeling lasts more than a moment. We can change that. Learn how at belongingbeginswithus.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Walk a mile in my shoes.
I heard the COVID-19 vaccine
Do we really know about the long-term...
Did you read that thing on the internet about...
There's a lot of talk about COVID-19 vaccines. Talk to your doctor or healthcare provider to make the decision that's right for you. Visit getvaccineanswers.org for more. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Hi, this is Purell, and I support KPFT Radio because I love listening to the blues programming, the rock programming. The Deadbeat program is my favorite. Just saying. So please join me in supporting KPFT community radio that you cannot get on any other type of commercial station. Please call to donate at 713-526-5733.